Hi, guys. So, today I wanted to talk about protecting ourselves against the ravages of racism. This is a picture of me looking upset just to demonstrate. So, I'm 63 years old. I've lived in Kansas and the Chicago suburbs. I've been in Kansas for 17 years now. At my age, I've experienced my share of what I call nuisance racism, mostly in Illinois, but a little in Kansas too. I was in Illinois the time two girls knocked on my door and asked to speak to the lady of the house. And I was in Kansas the time I was talking to a friend outside of McDonald's, and a hillbilly in a truck yelled out the N word as they left the parking lot. I consider this nuisance racism. But there was the time, Lord help us all, there was a time when I was struggling with a shellfish allergy. This was in Illinois, nice suburb. I'd been eating shellfish forever and I didn't know you could develop sudden allergies. I just knew something was seriously wrong, so I called 911. When the police rushed past my white husband into the bedroom and saw me, sick as a dog in bed, they slowed down, rolled their eyes, and exchanged glances. I couldn't believe it. I'm sitting there in horrific pain with welts and rashes all over my body, my chest. I mean, it's hurting like crazy. And all they could do was ask me what drugs I'd taken, what drugs I had taken. I was too sick to cuss him out. My husband would gladly have done so, but by that time he'd rushed off to get my mother so she could watch the kids. Meanwhile, the police and EMTs just stood there while I insisted that, I wasn't on drugs, and it wasn't until I threw up that they sprang into action. And thank God I threw up. The EMT had just enough time to give me a shot of adrenaline before my throat closed up. So, yeah, racism nearly killed me. I was spared, unlike so many others, and once I felt better, I was furious. If something like that happened to a white person, they would have called the police station ASAP, full of outrage and expectations of justice. They probably would have demanded to speak with the chief of the police, the district attorney, circuit court judge, and so on. I wanted to call the police to complain, but I didn't trust them. They'd shown me how they operated and what they thought of black people. Now, almost 30 years later, I'm not sure that I would have handled it any differently just because there's no way to prove it. Even if I'd had a cell phone camera back then, who's going to try to record in the middle of an anaphylactic reaction? But the truth is, those cops deserve a dirty South folding chair beat down, and so it is. Hopefully, karma came around. We have every right to be angry when we're pestered by nuisance racism, life and death racism, and everything in between. But no matter how justified the anger, it still raises our blood pressure, depresses our mood, taints our worldview, and clouds our ambition. The healthier option is to acknowledge our sincere annoyance while releasing the harmful emotions of rage and bitterness. Yes, release. Even though it goes against everything we know, and yes, we should report people when appropriate, march, protest, speak up for ourselves, and so on. Just know it works against us when we marinate in anger. Remember, the law of attraction assumes that we gravitate towards what we enjoy. The law is a tool used by the divine to help us create and fulfill our mission on earth. I'm going to refer back to Ernest Holmes, who was one of the later founders of the New Thought movement in the U.S. in the first half of the 20th century. He passed away in 1960, but he left behind a number of books to help us understand New Thought and the law of attraction. In Creative Mind and Success, Holmes stated the following: Law is not physical or material, but mental and spiritual. But what are circumstances? Of course, they are always effect. Everything that we see is an effect. An effect is something that follows a cause, and we are dealing with causation only. Effects do not make themselves, but they are held in place by mind or causation. Whatever we think is the pattern, and mind, meaning the law of attraction, is the builder. What he means is that the world is as it is because people held thoughts until they manifested into what currently exists. Because remember, thoughts are things, and if we think it enough, it's going to manifest into something physical. As long as, the world holds the thoughts that we think, nothing will change. As individuals, we have to remember that like attracts like. Collectively, we can certainly think our way into healing the planet, feeding the hungry, and uplifting the poor. But the average person will insist that those things can't be changed. It's just the way it is. There's too much greed. It's too late to stop climate change. The Bible says there will always be poor people. As long as we rule out the possibility of improvement, we're holding the current reality in place. When it comes to reacting to racism, the first thing I do is remember that racism is a mental defect or disability. Bigots of all races are incapable of seeing people as they really are. They somehow see black people as physically larger than they are. White people working in the medical field in this day and age have been shown to believe that black people have thicker skin and don't feel pain to the degree that other races do. Racists see evil and deceit in the eyes of innocent people who just because they belong to a different religion. To me, this condition is no different than schizophrenia or hysterical blindness. I'd love for the psychiatric researchers to go a few steps further and recommend therapy and medication like they do for any other mental health condition. In the meantime, I've put that thought out there. Please spread the word. Another way to handle an experience with racism is to limit the amount of time you dwell on it. Don't get on the phone and tell everyone you know. Don't post about it on Facebook or bring it up at the barber shop if you can help it. This is about doing yourself a favor, not the racist. Every time you talk about it and relive the disgust, you tell the universe that you enjoy talking about being victimized by racism. Then, before you know it, the law of attraction brings you another reason to complain about racism. By all means, vent about it to one or two of the most important people in your life just to get it out. Then, unless it's something major, let it go. Remember what Holmes said: whatever we think is the pattern, and mind, or the law of attraction, is the builder. At the most, this frees up space for solution based thinking or the energy to seek justice and fair treatment. When we recognize the advancements over the last century and understand that the odds for continued advancement are logically in our favor, we can release the rage that sickens us and replace it with the calm determination to do your part. More importantly, you won't be raising your blood pressure, stress hormones, and inflammation by talking about it over and over. And we don't need any more diabetes and arthritis either. Take care of yourself by doing and thinking about what pleases you. The law of attraction is taking note, and this is important. The law works like the law of gravity or physics. It's impartial. It doesn't judge between good or bad. It's guided by your energy or vibration, not your intentions. The only way it can deliver us what we want is by operating under the assumption that we would never deliberately and continuously indulge our thoughts in things that make us unhappy. So remember that. The law is never going to assume that we would deliberately and continuously indulge our thoughts in things that make us unhappy. It's not judging. Remember, it's a tool made to deliver us more of what we enjoy. It assumes you like the thoughts you dwell on. If you don't want to believe that, pay attention to other people and what they dwell on and see how that affects their life. Meditation is a great way to reset your spirit after you've calmed down enough. Using a bell or singing bowls to get you started will smooth out the rough edges. Know that the power that creates worlds is your protector. Your connection to this creator is unending. It's the spark of creation and the source of your creativity. Source energy knows who you are, what you like and dislike, and by source energy I mean God, but the law does not know this. You tell the law what you want through your thoughts. Then source adds its own touch of alchemy that makes our blessing so personal and meaningful. The law is our tool to be used in our favor, so don't bang yourself over the head with it. Relax and make yourself comfortable. Breathe deeply, slowly. Close your eyes. Turn your attention away from the thoughts that bring you pressure and anxiety. Remember, meditation is a neutral zone. You cannot think about trouble when you're not thinking about anything. So do yourself a favor, go limp, and fall into the gap between thoughts. I guarantee you'll thank yourself. Now it's time to open your eyes and return to the world around you. If you enjoyed this meditation, please subscribe to my channel for upcoming meditations created specifically for African Americans. Thank you for joining me and enjoy the rest of your day. Namaste.